Hope and Boodle Under Obama. As a regular contributor to the popular McClure's Muckraking magazine at the beginning of the 20th century, investigative journalist Lincoln Steffens wondered about the root causes of pervasive corruption, not just in Washington, D.C., but locally in cities where bosses and machine politics dominated. It was in cities, he believed, where democracy should more directly reflect the values of the average American. Long before the federal government developed social services, national pension, health insurance, or consumer protection laws, people's basic needs were met locally. Corruption at the local level, therefore, was a direct assault on the needs and rights of one's neighbors. Like others of his time, Steffens viewed the selling of public office for private gain to be a form of treason. In 1904, Steffens was assigned to visit America's cities notorious for their political machines that delivered votes to hand-picked politicians who then dispensed public franchises, favorable zoning, lucrative utilities, and vital commodities to the highest payers of graft. What he discovered, later compiled in his most famous book of the time, The Shame of the Cities, did not give comfort to readers. Steffens concluded that bedrock values of America, in which wealth is automatically accorded exalted status, and the pursuit of wealth is equated with the pursuit of happiness, led good people into serving interests over public good. He found that the primary drivers of political machines, the corruptors and bribers, were cities' respectable business people, members of the Chamber of Commerce. Steffens' discomforting message was that corruption was less an alien feature of city life than it was native and systemic, American pie. The inclination to sell out the public for private gain was done for a higher cause, a cause that a city's leaders and ordinary citizens reflexively, unquestioningly honored, even when vital needs and the public's interest were harmed. He wrote, "The commercial spirit is the spirit of profit, not patriotism. My business is sacred, says the businessman in his heart. Whatever prospers my business is good. It must be. Whatever hinders it is wrong. It must be. A bribe is bad, but it is not so bad to give one, not if it is necessary to my business." Steffens' perspective is needed to understand how and why MLM has been protected for the last 40 years by top leaders of both political parties and other entities who could somehow claim that Amway's pyramid recruiting scheme was representative of their own economic policies. Steffens' keen insight is better applied to the behavior of Democrats, whose economic policies are supposedly driven more by Main Street USA needs and whose candidates have received far less cash from the pyramid lobby. Steffens helps to explain how it is that MLM remains safe and unexamined even during the times when the Democratic Party held the most influence over the FTC, SEC, and Department of Justice. When both parties honor protecting pyramid schemes, Ponzinomics has moved beyond a Main Street delusion. It is an official national belief. The foreword of Ponzinomics stated the harsh fact that all who have sought to oppose the phenomenal spread of MLM have lost. What was achieved from these foiled campaigns were troves of credible testimony, verified facts, and hard data on precisely how the MLM scam operates and the scale of harm MLM causes. The truth has become readily available. To understand why the scam persists, we are left, finally, to move past the forces of propaganda and influence buying to unexamined or avoided factors within our own communities and our own culture. To understand our current dilemma, Steffens would likely guide us to look at the Obama years. The pyramid lobby's favored party was out of power. More information was made public about MLM than at any other time. There was seemingly good reason for hope. Obama's chair of the FTC, John Leibowitz, had no known history with MLM. The head of consumer protection, David Vladeck, whom Leibowitz had appointed, also had no apparent connections. In fact, Vladeck was associated with the Ralph Nader-founded Public Citizen. During Obama's second term, for the first time in MLM history, the business media finally took an interest in MLM as a major part of the U.S. economy and a significant sector of Wall Street securities. This was prompted by hedge fund manager William Ackman's campaign to expose the MLM Herbalife. It would seem that if at any time since 1979 the public's interest could be represented and the reality of MLM investigated, this was the period. Hope of MLM activists was bolstered in the propitious year of the Obama election when a federal court ruled that a class action lawsuit against Amway, the largest case ever mounted against an MLM for operating an illegal pyramid scheme, could go forward. On that ruling, Amway quickly moved to out-of-court settlement and paid out millions to the plaintiff's attorneys and clients. Si se puede. Adding to the heightened expectations, just before Obama was sworn in, Bernard Madoff came forward to confess running one of the largest Ponzi schemes in American history. It had been operating as a presumed legitimate business for a dozen years in the heart of Wall Street and led by one of the financial community's trusted representatives. This shocking revelation, along with the national collapse of what was called the mortgage bubble, put the terms Ponzi, robbing Peter to pay Paul, unsustainable, last one's in, collapse, and pyramid scheme on front pages and in news stories day after day, including explanations of how pyramids and Ponzi's work and the inevitable harm they cause. Despite this historic backdrop, dismayingly, the revelations and the settlement payments in the Amway lawsuit provoked no inquiry, statements, or actions from the Obama FTC related to MLM pyramids. Direct inquiries to the FTC or to Obama from victims and consumer activists were distressingly ignored. With a seeming political firewall around MLM, the American news media did not investigate the MLM phenomenon, despite clues pointing to MLM's disguise as, quote, direct selling, just as Madoff was dressed up to appear as a, quote, hedge fund, both operating in plain sight. In 2010, I wrote, published, and sent to Obama and various members of Congress a 25-page report entitled The Main Street Bubble, A Whistleblower's Guide to Business Opportunity Fraud, How the FTC Ignored and Now Protects It. On the cover, it was subtitled, Memorandum to President Barack Obama and members of Congress overseeing the Federal Trade Commission and the newly created Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. The memorandum not only documented the known facts about massive consumer losses and decades of outrageously false claims, but also addressed the special harm MLM was inflicting with its false opportunity. MLMs were accelerating their harm during the Great Recession as millions more people were unemployed, faced foreclosure, and were in desperate need of income. The Main Street Bubble also revealed the pattern of FTC staff and officials moving through a revolving door of jobs and positions with the MLM industry. My report was cited in the nationally televised 2013 CNBC documentary, Selling the American Dream, produced by Herb Greenberg. It included an interview with me in the segment entitled Multi-Level Marketing Critic, Beware Main Street Bubble. I received no reply. Still, I maintained hope that change was forthcoming. This tenuous hope was violently shaken when Obama's FTC Chief of Consumer Protection, David Vladeck, now a professor at Georgetown Law, publicly challenged the reality that the billions in annual losses suffered by millions of people who invested in the Herbalife income opportunity were due to, quote, misrepresentation. He also defiantly challenged the assertion that the losses even constituted an injury to consumers. Business journalist Herb Greenberg asked Vladeck on camera about MLM-related consumer losses. It was the first time since Obama took office that anyone in his administration had made any statement at all about the spread of MLMs. Vladeck, the appointee of FTC Chair John Leibowitz, who was appointed by Obama, not only rebuffed the record of losses, he also implied that if they occurred, it was the responsibility of the losers. Exactly the claim of MLM companies. Consumer activists and MLM victims were stunned and baffled. Vladeck's abrupt and visibly angry retort to Greenberg and his lack of interest in the findings about Herbalife's false income claims caused some to suspect a powerful political fix was at work, and that the Obama administration was either part of it or Obama FTC officials saw which way the political wind was blowing and simply didn't care. These dark suspicions slashed hope, but did not answer the baffling question: how could it be that a fix would exist between the pyramid lobby and the Obama administration? Preventing disclosures.